one thing to note is that policymakers receive findings all the time. So sometimes findings for them are not new or are not unique. And for us, for example, for referring to the regional work that we did, we share them, but we don't expect much in return in terms of feedback. But then, because one thing traditionally what we found is that if we only give them findings and then for them to work on it, they would say, you can email me or you can share it to me, I will read it later, which I don't think they ever read it. They read it when it matters to them. So what we did was we include them in the process of building that evidence as well. So engaging them as key informant interviews, but then we don't say that. And then I think giving acknowledgement to them is one thing that we found also makes them more. It makes them to have more sense of belonging to the findings that we share, because it comes from them. And I'm not talking about informant interviews where you have to mask their ID or mask their kind of like identity. But when we try to produce the findings and the evidence, we genuinely ask for their feedback before we publish everything, and then we acknowledge them in the process, and it makes them to have more sense of belonging to that evidence, so that they can also share to their networks, and then that evidence also is part of them in some way. Because I feel like it's a bit tricky when you're sharing findings or evidence to policymakers, because sometimes they just don't resonate with them. And what we found that makes it resonates with them is that to involve them in the process in a way that's one thing. The trade-off is between it's giving them a sense of belonging, but it also does not overlap the scientific process.